here with the blue line next to it, that's the equation that represents our demand curve. The equation with the red line next to it represents our supply curve. And then we have this green dashed line across for this price. I'm going to say, we know the equilibrium price and quantity is right here where the lines intersect, but we're going to say, what if something is enforcing a price of $38 in this market? So even though this is the equilibrium price down here, that looks like it would be maybe around 35, the price in this market that this good, whatever good it is being sold for is going to be the $38. So our first question, what quantity will consumers purchase at this higher price? So on Ignithium, you can go along and find this point right here where we're looking at the consumers. So what quantity the consumers will purchase at this price. So the blue curve for the consumers at this price right here, where the blue line meets the green dash line, we can just sort of draw down, and it looks like it would be about 7. On Ignithium, you can roll over this little point and it'll give you like the values, but since I sketched this out away from Ignithium, I don't have that. So it looks like it's 7, and the way we can check our work is by using this equation for the consumers. So let me write this out off to the side here. So the price the consumers will pay is going to be 66 minus 4 times the quantity consumers are going to demand to buy. So we're looking for this QB. Mathematically, the way we're looking at this is we're looking for this QB, but we know this price because the price right now is this $38. So what we can do is we can plug that value in, say 38 equals 38 equals 66 minus 4 times QB. And now we have like this little algebra problem. So we can now solve for this to find this QB and make sure that 7 is the correct value for that. So I'm just going to kind of go through this really quick. I'm going to add the 4 QB to both sides. So we get 38 plus 4 QB equals 66 minus 4 QB plus 4 QB is just going to be 66. We can subtract the 38 from both sides so that we have 4 QB equals 66 minus 38, which is going to be 28. So now we have 4 QB equals 28. And if we divide both sides by 4, we see that QB equals 7. So 7 units. So our guess was correct here. So 7 units is going to be the amount demanded by the consumers at this price of 38. Now we're going to look at the quantity supplied. So we're going to look at now the supply curve, and we're just going to go up to where it meets the price. And if we go down, it looks like that's going to be 10 units. And we can also go through this and double check this the same way that we double checked for the consumers. So our equation is going to, for the producers, is going to be the price that they're selling is going to be 18 plus 2 times the quantity they're going to sell. So we know the price is going to be 38. Then we see that 38 is going to be equal to 18 plus 2 times the quantity they're selling. So this one's going to be a bit easier. So we can just subtract 18 on both sides and get 20 equals 2 times the quantity the producers are selling. And then just dividing both sides by 2, we see that 10 equals the quantity supplied by the producers. So we have, I'll just type it out this time. So we have 10 units being supplied at the higher price. Now, how much excess supply exists at this higher price? So what we're going to be looking at to answer this question here is we have the consumers wanting to buy 7 units, and we have the producers supplying 10 units. So unlike equilibrium, where every unit being sold is going to be bought, we have different numbers here. So if the suppliers are going to be supplying 10 units, but only consumers only want to buy 7 of those units, then what's going to happen is there are going to be extra units left over that are not going to be sold. So that's going to be our 10 units being produced minus the 7 units that are actually being sold, means we're going to have 3 extra units that are not going to be sold. That's 3 excess units that just aren't going to, no one's going to buy them at this higher price. So we have our excess supply is going to be 3 units. How many units are suppliers going to attempt to sell at this higher price? So this is just going to be our quantity supplied. This is another way of wording our quantity supplied. 10 units are going to be supplied, and even though only 7 units are going to be sold by consumers, consumers only want 7 units, suppliers are still going to try and sell all 10 of the units they produced. So they're still going to try to sell all 10 units. However, we've already said that consumers are only going to want to purchase 7 of those units. So despite their attempts, suppliers are only going to be able to sell as many units as consumers want to purchase from them. So while they're going to try and sell 10 units, they're only going to be able to sell 7 units. And now we're going to look at when the market returns to equilibrium, how many more units will be traded than before at the higher price. So this one might be a little bit unclear. What this is asking is, so right now at this higher price, only 7 units are being traded in the market. At equilibrium, how many units would be traded? Well, if we just kind of look down, this drawing is a little bit off center, but it is 8 units. I checked that earlier. The in equilibrium, sellers are going to, well, producers are going to try and sell 8 units, and consumers are going to want to buy 8 units. But right now, their consumers are only going to want to buy 7 units. So the difference of when the price goes back to equilibrium, how many more units are going to be traded? Well, we're going to go from 7 units to 8 units. So that's going to be, let me go back into text mode. So that's going to be a difference of 1 unit. There's going to be 1 additional unit sold once this price goes back to equilibrium. Okay, so that covers the exercise I had for the price being above equilibrium. Now we're going to go look at the price being below equilibrium. And this price here, I didn't write it down beforehand. This is going to be $26. Let me write that a little further off to the side here so it's readable. $26. Okay. And we're going to be asking the same questions or very similar questions that we did before. It's the same graph, we have the same equations, it's just now we have this different price here. So what quantity will consumers purchase at the lower price? Perhaps I should say, what quantity will consumers want? What quantity will consumers want to purchase at this lower price? So at this lower price, consumers are going to, we have the demand curve, we go down to the price of $26. Looks like right about here, consumers are going to want to consume 10 units. And again, we can check this by just using our equation for the consumers, and we will plug in the values. So again, we know the price. In this case, so 26 equals 66, equals 66 minus 4 QB. I'm just going to kind of skip ahead a step to where we have the 4 QB on this side. And so we've added 4QB to both sides and then subtracted the 26 from both sides and just jump us to 4QB equals 40. And then by dividing on both sides, we get QB equals 10. So I did kind of just do 2 steps in one there, just to kind of move along. But yeah, we found that our QB is going to be 10 units. So that's going to be the quantity that consumers would like to purchase. Now let's look at the quantity that's going to actually be supplied by the producers. So, we can go right here to along the supply curve at that price of 26. If we go down, I believe it's 4. Again, this is a sketch, so it's not entirely accurate. So we can just check really fast. So PV equals 18 plus 2 QV. That our price is going to be 26 equals 18 plus 2 QV. Sorry, this automatically fills in the equal signs for me. So then we subtract the 18 from both sides. We get 8, right? 8 equals 2 QV. And when we divide by both sides, we see that QV is going to equal 4. So our quantity supplied then is going to be 4. So yeah, this drawing is just a little bit off. But yeah, so our quantity being demanded in this instance is going to be 10 units, and our quantity being supplied in this instance is going to be 4 units. So notice how over here, when we had that price above equilibrium, our quantity demanded was going to be less than our quantity supplied. So here's our, I'm going to say QD for quantity demanded and our QS for quantity supplied. Our quantity demanded is going to be less than our quantity supplied. Over here, we have our quantity demanded and we have our quantity supplied. And our quantity demanded this time is going to be greater than our quantity supplied. So here, our quantity supplied is the larger value. We have more quantity, we have more units being supplied than demanded. When our price is below equilibrium, we have more units being demanded than we have units being supplied in the market. Oops. Let me fix that real quick. Anyway, now let's go on to our next problem. How much excess supply exists at the lower price? This is a typo. It should be how much excess demand exists at the lower price, because we've already seen there's more demand than there is supply. So we have 10 units being demanded by consumers. If possible, consumers would like to go out and buy 10 units of this good. However, they can't. There's only 4 units available for them to buy. So we have the demand of 10 units, but only 4 units are actually being supplied for them to purchase, which means consumers would still like an additional 6 units of this good. So our excess demand here is going to be 6 units. How many units will consumers attempt to buy at the lower price? We've already kind of talked about this. While they would like to buy 10, they're only able to buy as many units as are actually available in the market for them to purchase. And in this case, that's going to be the 4 units that are being supplied. I jumped ahead. They will attempt to be buying 10 units and they will actually be able to buy only 4 units. And then when the market returns to equilibrium, how many more units will be traded than before the lower price? So at our equilibrium point right here, if we just go down, we see at equilibrium, 8 units, well, this is the same graph as before. So 8 units would be produced in the market and 8 units would also be purchased in the market. Right now, only 4 units are being supplied and produced. So when we go from 4 to 8, the difference is going to be an additional 4 units will be able to be sold when we move back to equilibrium. So how many more units will be